Okay, the rant continues, and in my opinion, anyone who says that video games aren't art has probably never played a video game. And probably just, whoa, jeez Louise, a werewolf. And probably just has some, like, just some subjective concept of what a video game is. Like, I feel like anybody that says a video game isn't art is that kind of person who wants to argue that their boyfriend spends more time on their Xbox than paying attention to them. You know what I mean? It's like that kind of person. It has to be that kind of person. Because no serious person who's actually taken a serious, objective look, you're still alive. Wow. At a video game would say, no, this isn't art. How? How is it not art? Like, objectively explain to me what makes a video game not art. It's got music score in it. Music is art. It's got design in it. We've already discussed that storyboarding and character design and world design and sets and scenes and 3D modeling and all this is all forms of art, right? And we decided that story is art, and writing and poetry and everything else that goes into it that can be in a video game too. These are all things that are art. And it's got cinematics like a movie does, but they're broken up between sections of gameplay where you get to interact with the art, so it's interactive art on top of it. Like, what about it isn't art? You know, it doesn't really seem to me that there is a rational explanation for how a video game is not art, you know? And, like, what is it? Is it just that people dislike programming? Is that because there is code involved? It just cancels all other art forms that went into it, and all the artists and the writers and the musicians' efforts are just canceled out because their work goes along with a developer's work? Question mark? I still cannot jump this. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, and I've always found it really frustrating that people would suggest that video games are not art, because there's not like a rational explanation for how they are not art. You know what I mean? Like, can anybody give me a single argument that makes sense, that makes a video game not art? And I feel like if you argued, wow, you tried to hug me. If you argue that video games aren't art, now you have to also say that movies aren't art, because they're frankly not that different. And in another rant, I'm actually going to go over how, video games and movies have a certain crossover that's actually bad, in my opinion. It has to do with just sort of the attitudes of the directors kind of messing up the original concept behind a game, which is to that was the point I was trying to make, and I've lost it again. It has a purpose, it has a message behind it, and games have a message and a purpose, and that is enjoyment, which is also the purpose, the original purpose we said that art needs to have. It's enjoyment for the sake of enjoyment. So like one argument that I have, one issue that I have, I guess more of, is why aren't games in general considered to be art? They're considered media, but is media not art? It's kind of strange. Like, there's all these divisions, and it comes down to having a discriminating mind. Discriminating in the bad kind of, like, discrimination. You know what I mean? Like, discrimination goes beyond just, like, racism. It also has to do with, like, what's this? Funds increase. I will accept that. It also, whoops, there's a guy over there. It's like a mindset that people have, where they have to define things as yes or no, up or down, black or white. They can't actually see things as part of, like, a flowing whole of experience. And I don't know, it's like a sickness in the mind, if you ask me. this need to define things in rigid and inorganic ways, despite the fact that we live in an organic reality that is ever-flowing. And, you know, and I think this is different from, like, the need to like, organize and structure, because you can have order and structure and realize that things are, like, interconnected. Like, if you've ever studied, like evolution or anything like that, you look at I can't what is it called, the what the heck is it called, I can't even think of it right now, but like the way animals are arranged and named, it's like one of my favorite things, special interests when I was a kid, was the scientific nomenclature, but there's another word for it, like one word for like the naming process, and I just can't really think of what it is at the moment. But if you look at that, like, this is all just very rigidly organized and highly structured, but it all flows together and things are interconnected all the same. Let me get to the next area. Another ab reduction. It doesn't matter though, because we're already pretty maxed out. But yeah, I feel like games, not just video games, but all games, like tabletop games and card games and all that, should also be considered art. Because, like, the type of design and thinking that went into it is not really that different from, like, artistic thinking. It's creativity to convey a message and to deliver an experience, and for the sake of enjoyment. So I don't really know why game design and designing game elements isn't itself considered an art. Like, I consider anybody who creates, you know, a good game design and a good game loop to be an artist in their own right. Like, it is difficult and it is highly creative. But yeah, it's just, if it doesn't involve crayons, hi baby! Hi! What should we get, the big one or the little one? Let's choose the little one. We need, like, attachments and stuff more than anything. Oh, yes. Thank you kindly. Also, I'm gravely thirst. Ah, there's a pool here. Excellent. I'm gonna keep using Ruby, but I'm gonna switch over to him and get him healed up at least. So, I'm gonna keep using Ruby because I can't deal with the diggers, man. They really upset me greatly. But yeah, like, I consider game design to be highly artistic, and so I feel like this is just a thing where people who don't do it, they don't experience how artistic it actually is. So then, because it's not the art that they do, they want to be like, no, it's not art. And that's what I was trying to get at with that discrimination mindset. My abs is full. Well, okay. So yeah, I mean, it seems to me that it's just people who are suffering from this, like, sickness of having the bad kind of discriminating mind, who just want to, like, divide and conquer everything so they can separate themselves out and feel better about themselves, when actually it's just their own lack of experience coming through, you know what I mean? Like, if you've never sat down and creatively trying to find a good game loop, then, you know what I mean, you might actually think that only crayons are art. Or if you've never actually tried to write music, you might think that, again, only crayons are art. Or if you've only tried to write music, you might think only music is art, nothing else is. So these are, like, lines of discrimination that they don't really make sense, and they're detrimental because they just kind of separate out art rather than encouraging people to be creative at all times. I would even argue that coding is itself art. Like, if you've ever really tried to write, like, a real poem, not a free-form poem, it is just sitting there and just tinkering around with format and word choice and organization, and it's a lot of work. I'm not saying it's as hard as, like, programming kind of work, but it is kind of similar. in that there's very specific syntax rules that you have to follow. Otherwise, your poem is not the kind of poem you're trying to write, like a sonnet or a quartet or whatever. I don't know. I mostly just write haikus when I'm bored, and I have a small collection I'm putting together. Oh my gosh, we beat another level, I think? No, wait, we have one more spot over here. Yeah, so, like, the effort that goes into writing a proper, like, formatted poem is not really that much different from writing a piece of code, really, you know? And they could convey the same level of elegance, like, whatever the program is meant to do. You know, not every program is like QuickBooks. You know what I mean? Some are games where you're conveying, like, a lot of experience and meaning and human feeling through your code. And so, yeah, it's a very creative process. And it requires just as much discipline as, you know, fine art with a capital F and a capital A. Wow, that was a useless item. So, yeah, I just don't understand why people want to divide and conquer things that are, like, negotiably pretty much the same in terms of actually the creative experience. And it just seems to me that the people doing the dividing or conquering are people who just lack experience enjoying more things than what they've decided that they're allowed to enjoy. So, yeah, it just seems to me that it's just discriminating. Just that same mindset that leads to racism and hatred, just having hatred towards people enjoying life. And TLDR, stop it. Video games are art. Most everything that humans do is art because humans made art. And that's just kind of what we do. So trying to define what is and isn't is just stupid and makes you weak-minded. So that is objective fact in my subjective opinion. So anyway, hopefully you've liked this rant, and maybe you agree, maybe you don't. Leave a comment with your thoughts. And yeah, anyway, we're gonna keep charging to Moonsea and get to the boss. I remember liking the final boss in this one a lot, but it could just be because I used Osmond, and I really like Osmond. It's gonna be sad not playing him in this game. So, but that's okay. I might train him up for the Demon Shaft or something. It's very long. Anyway, have a great week, and bye!